Spectrum Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, read a space, type in your contribution and name, and send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very good evening to you. This is Spectrum Radio 1 and I'm Edmond. On Spectrum tonight we're doing the week. We're going to look at some of the issues that have been happening. 7-year parts that are and Baba. Misunderstanding within the NRM party, also sometimes known as the Mass Party, came to a point with the president of the party, his prime minister, and the deputy president. He seems to think they are creating alternative countries to the same society. We talk about the NRM. Another movement is going within the movement of shadow cabinet, the parallel government between bombs. The other such was president who was with us. The Winter Noel, the Attorney General, Christopher Minister of the Tower. They said they would have a press conference next week to release their cabinet charge. We also talk about what it means. Would this be an indictment of the weak opposition? Is it because that there's a new opposition in the United? And we also talk about the United States. Our guest tonight, Honorable Bernard Akiji, Member of Parliament for AKIJUL in the West Nile, is a PhD in FDC Strategy, most also a kind of
Thank you. If I want to do this in language from West Nile, then in Romania.
That's good.
Are you one affiliated or you're a member of the FDC?
We're also joined by Mr. Rwomushana, former head of the business at State House.
The reminder God is great.
And Mr. Nicholas Opiyo, legal consultant, AKIJUL, also social and political analyst in Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Nicholas, President Museveni attacked Prime Minister Kadaga one time. He called it she is only when the big guy is going out of the attacking, attack the Speaker of Parliament. These are two very important things. How we see the power struggle inside of the NRM.
Well, I think what is happening within the NRM has only come for with the very characteristic attack the two most powerful people in the NRM by president. I think that this has been an ongoing debate. The debate has been going on within the movement, and this debate is centered around the past and succession, and the president's public presenting as president. And I think that's the apex of that kind of discussion. This debate has been going on about how democratically the party is.
Are there procedures to allow free expression of ideas? Is there a clear plan of a post-Museveni NRM? So this debate has been going on, and I think that what has happened then is that this kind of debate has more or less entrenched the perception that President Museveni is the NRM and the NRM is President Museveni, because if any debate springs up around that area, the only person who seems to want to hold the debate to moderate it is President Museveni. And I think that Mam Babazi and Kadaga represent essentially a victim of that kind of big man mentality. The second point that I wish to make in that regard is the question of the popularity of these two people outside of the movement, because I think that with Kadaga becoming Speaker of the 9th Parliament, increasingly she has been propelled to the limelight. There are now even suggestions about her being a possible head of state. I've read people in some parts of the country already writing memorandums to her saying she should contest. And I think that all the indicators are in Kadaga's favor. A very strong parliament under her leadership, the overall rise of women leaders in Africa. We now have 2 leaders. Then exactly. And then you have all this discussion about the next head of state coming from the east. So every indicator seems to point that Kadaga is a rising star, and therefore would challenge President Museveni's hold on power, especially in the NRM. The case of Mam Babazi is, I think, a case of a guy who has been waiting for far too long, and does seem to think that this is his time, and the president is not showing any willingness to move any distance from power. Instead, all indications seem to point that he is still around. So I think that Mam Babazi is a person who has just run out of his patience and want to have his bite at the cake, and therefore that has ultimately threatened President Museveni's hold on power as a leader of the NRA and NRM. So I think that all this is a power struggle. All this is about succession, about how the movement will transcend from President Museveni to the next to its next leader. Of course, then what you see is the president being very uncomfortable with any such debate. You only have to listen to the president when he rebuked the debate on time limits. He said it was nonsense, it was a waste of time, it was useful. It again shows how uneasy he is about relinquishing power. The same thing happened in Nabamali when the bishop indicated to him that people asking for term limits to be restored. He responded very angrily. So any attack, any attempts to challenge his hold on power will definitely attract such kind of and I think that Kadaga's problem has been her popularity, again because of the good work she's doing, and they're just victims of President Museveni's desire to continue leading his party and the country.
All right, Nicholas, you mentioned you say that the president seems to think that Museveni is the NRM and the NRM is Museveni. There was a French leader who once said "L'état c'est moi," which means the state is me and I'm the state. And I think another statement was made that après moi le deluge, after me, it doesn't matter what happens, the deluge is a flood. What is likely to follow? What shape is this whole debate likely to take?
Well, and you see, I've made this point.
More than a debate.
Yeah, I've made this point before, that as we approach 2016, we are going to witness a significant reconfiguration of the political landscape, not just in NRM, but even within the FDC, for example. Because these are the two power centers, the two parties in which I think power struggles have become so significant. For the FDC, you've had the disagreement between Musumba and Alaso, the quarrels about Nandala and Muntu, and the manner in which Muntu's supporters have been treated. I know people like Thomas Taibwa have completely been relegated from mainstream FDC because of that power struggle. So you're going to see a huge reconfiguration of the NRM. I think what is going to happen is the same thing that happened to Besigye, that a group of people are either going to be expelled or will voluntarily seek space elsewhere to express themselves.
Expelled from the NRM?
From the NRM.
Yes.
Now, the same thing might happen in FDC. I see FDC splitting after Besigye. I see the FDC that belongs to what I think is an urban elite of the Musumbas, the Sebugwaos, talking down on the rural FDC people like Alaso and people come from our country. So I think, and of course my friend Bernard here belongs to that group. So I think that
he belongs to the rural group.
Yes, I think up country. So I think that there's going to be a huge split within the FDC. If you don't see a split, you're going to see an emotional withdrawal from senior members from the FDC. In the same manner, Musingu Zigaruga left FDC. You're going to see senior FDC members withdrawing from active participation in FDC. For the NRM, it's either going to be an expulsion or voluntary relinquishing of membership in the NRM. And I do foresee a new force emerging for 2016 elections.
Do you think a new political party could form up that brings in the rebel, the exiting MPs from the NRM and the exiting MPs from the FDC and supporters?
I don't see a convergence between the FDC would-be splinter group with the NRM would-be splinter group. What I see is the FDC group just going into private life and just getting lost in the same way people like Mishega have gone, in the same way powerful people like Simon Juba have gone. You don't hear them now at the forefront of FDC politics. But what I then see, it may not be a political party, but a creation of space around which people of common thinking might converge, and I do expect that to happen before 2016. Whether that new space will include, in my view, the FDC or the NRM, I don't think the FDC or the NRM are people who can still work together. I don't think they work together. For the DP didn't. They already split. The FDC. The UPC is a group fighting over nothing, not power, but really just money from Milton Obote Foundation. Right. So they already split anyway. Yes. So the major splitting group that that I see emerging, and again I pray I'm wrong here, is going to be the FDC splinter groups and the NRM splinter group. And these arises because of what I think is a big man mentality. Each of these parties galvanize around powerful individuals. They do not have structures, do not have ideologies around which party members agree and converge. It is merely a convergence of convenience around a person who they see as being able to take over power from the other or maintain power from the other. So NRM as a party is extremely weak without Museveni. In the same manner, FDC without Kizza Besigye is really a group of very, very disorganized people.
Thank you so much, Edmond.
That's very insightful analysis. I think it will feed us.
I don't want to buy Nicholas' analysis 100%, but he has got his facts, and truly, this country must worry with the way things are happening in the leadership circles, because we expect parties that have been entrusted with power, especially in the affairs of this country, the management of this country. If you begin to see what is happening across the board, all the political parties, you must be worried, because should there be a failure in terms of control of power, then this country will be again plunged into chaos. What has happened this week, Museveni attacking Kadaga and Mbabazi, is not new. He's
never attacked Mbabazi.
This has been happening quietly behind the scene, though it has not been expressed outside. But at first I didn't want to believe it. I thought maybe it was a gimmick. Museveni wanted to create a kind of a sympathy camp within the members of parliament, so that maybe tomorrow Mbabazi, being his pampered colleague, would come back. But when I went into details to analyze what transpired in State House and how members of NRM have been reacting to what happened in Entebbe there, I came to believe that I think this is now democracy coming to play. And on one side, one should also be happy. A young politician like me should be happy that this is happening, because when things happen, we the young ones should be able to come into the fold and take over. Having said that, we should first look at why this is happening, and truly you can see the power centers conflicting. One is that the president attacked Kadaga,
yes,
who heads one arm of government, that is the legislature, and on the other side, Mbabazi, who heads political party, actually is the Secretary General of the party, and you have heard his comments. In one of the last meetings, he actually wanted Mbabazi to step down. Exactly. But Mbabazi, what did Mbabazi say? He said,
"You also have two positions, right?"
Exactly. So there is a background to all this kind of bickering.
And the president was fired. He was incensed.
And I think where I believe Nicholas's assumption could hold water is in the sense that the president up to now still doesn't believe that we're in a multi-party setting, which is a constitutional operation or provision, because he seems to think when the legislature is acting or doing its business,
doing it for him,
it is doing it for him, and at the same time it must consult closely with the executive, which is not the provision, because the constitution talks of independence of all these arms of government, the judiciary, the executive, the legislature. All these must do their work independently.
And the fourth one, which is the media. The
media, exactly. And that's what we are doing now. You have offered us a platform too. So really, it is that kind of misconception, or it is a deliberate move by the president because there are people who have believed that without the president, this country cannot exist or things cannot work. Because somehow.
You think they can work without him?
Exactly, because the constitution is clear. If the president is not there, his vice takes over. If the vice is not there, the speaker takes over.
Yes.
So there's really a way.
Prime Minister is number 6.
Exactly. There's a well stipulated way in which this country can work without an individual's presence, be it in the executive or in the legislature or in the judiciary. So, having said that, I think it is very embarrassing for this country to hear that the Fountain of Honor is attacking the head of the National Assembly.
No, he's the only attack he had dancing.
There's more to that. And secondly, conflicting with his Secretary General, who is also the Prime Minister, and I think that's where now we must become concerned as politicians that first the work of political parties and the work of government should be separated. First and foremost, these caucus meetings really should not be taking place in the State House, where taxpayers are facilitating the tea, the sugar, the transport. So everything is exactly selling the toilet on top of that.
The water bill.
So all this is where we must separate powers. Let government do work as government. Once a party has won, it should separate the work of governance with the work of political party.
Right.
And once a party has taken up these responsibilities, then it should relinquish some responsibilities of a political party.
Right.
For instance, the Secretary General position should not have been held by Mbabas up to now, because you can now see what it is causing, and I think it is a learning point.
Or even the chairman should cease to be, as soon as you elect.
Exactly. The president should be, because the chairman of the party should be able to bring the president to order, like for now.
Like it happened in South Africa.
Now that the president has come out, has misbehaved,
the chairman
should be able to bring him to order.
The president doesn't
He only makes the chairman.
Who is now going to bring Museveni to order?
Charles Rwomushana.
When you read the Bible in Isaiah,
Yes.
The winged creatures were singing
Chapter 6.
holy, holy, holy.
Yes.
Even if I don't have the rest. And the story is a wrong story. Now, when Lucifer saw this, he said, but I cannot solve this holy Pharaoh. He can be good. And he was just out of heaven.
Yes. Go on.
Now, these pharaohs, their work is to sing.
The Mbabas.
The NRM heaven.
Holy.
The Mbabas is. You don't mention them.
They go beyond that one. That's Kamanyiro. Because they are even privileged. These winged creatures that were singing around God are privileged. One of them came and touched on the lips of Isaiah. And Isaiah was cleaned.
Yes.
If you have read the Bible. They are not simple, but their work is to sing, holy, holy, holy. Lord God the Almighty, you are holy. Yeah, now these ones are going beyond that. And they are making big mistakes.
God being who?
When you start saying we want to take over, succeed. In our tradition, that is Okungura is to give a bad omen. You are cursing, it's like you are wishing for a first demise. Well, the government has not even served for 1 year. I want to succeed. Then I was saying, when you die and I succeed, Okungura, and they know it's very dangerous. The president is busy fighting terrorism. He's fixing the economy. Inflation has been a problem, you know. He's fighting FMC. He's mobilizing the masses. Now these are being disruptive. They want to succeed. But they must be brought to order. They should be sent to the earth. They should have been this group of Lucifers. They should have been. But you have been talking about them. You see, there is a woman normally say that why don't you transfer the land title in my names in case you die? Why do you think you can't die? Why do these fellows think that they can't die before 7? Why do they think that for them they will be there 2016? Why don't you first secure the country? Because there are a lot of threats against the country. The economy is being destabilized, there is confusion here and there, the masses are not mobilizing, they are not in production, and you are not mobilizing them. I want power from dancing halls. They must be brought into order.
Is this
and by the way, when they say they are power, which power? When there was a problem with South Sudan, our traders, who went to stop it? Who went to sort it out? Which minister did you see going there?
The man in charge of foreign affairs.
Somebody was there.
It's Karikihura, who went and talked to the IGP of South Sudan, and the matter is sorted out. What were the Muslims to Achtura?
Karikihura.
Remember when the traders were striking? Did you see that meeting?
He wasn't there.
Yes. So if he says that matters of foreign affairs are regional cooperation, East African, are under that's it. The best among us should have done, and Kadaga was to request for a brief. He Prime Minister. Because the one in charge of that policy is area Kategaya. You don't jump. Know your bearings. There is one commander in chief who is in charge of intelligence, and that is General Yoweri.
Is it
the rest? The rest is you are supportive staff. Right. You don't give policy direction.
Right.
That's not how country. Because it's in heaven. There is one who is in charge in heaven. And that is Lord God the Almighty, then and even his son, Lord God Jesus Christ, has also ended. He does not know when the world will end. He said that I don't know. He said I don't know that one. It's only known to him. You don't even need to know.
Right.
That is the spiritual world. You see how it's governed. Right. Even the state is governed in that way. You see, because you have been saluted in Mercedes Benz and you have got a pickup behind you and you say, no. There must be somebody who is in charge. Right. In charge of the military, in charge of security, and you give that signal. But you are going around, let them deploy even a section of police.
They might not be able to.
Let all of them deploy even one couple of police. Or the crossing of the road for one or two reasons. There is one who is in charge, the commander in chief of UPDF and the armed forces and head of intelligence. That's General himself. So matters of foreign policy is not asking for it, just consult me. Because you can create a lot of chaos. You are seeing this confusion in Congo. Have you been reading the history of Paul Kagame?
Yes.
How long are you hearing talking in Rwanda about it?
He had to come to Kampala to
No, forget about what he's doing in the Bible, but how long have you had talking from Muchigara about that situation? Because if you can talk something and it creates a lot of chaos.
All right. Well,
so they must be put together, and they're supposed to have been expelled long ago to the world for our sake. And everything has to be said.
All right, this is special radio, and we'll be back to stay tuned.
What chance is communicating here?
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
When Junior lost his appetite, his mother tried all methods to get him to eat. She tried scary stories.
Eat, Tommy, eat, or the big black elephant will come and eat all your food.
She tried magic.
Tommy, if you eat your food, I will turn this handkerchief into sweets. Look, bumble, boom, boom.
Then she discovered Apitol multivitamin syrup with lysine.
Mommy, I finished all the food. I am number one.
Apitol multivitamin with lysine is helping mothers to turn mealtime frustration to a fun moment. Apitol has a great taste and contains lysine, which quickly improves your child's appetite and supports healthy growth. Apitol, help for life.
Join Airtel today and get 50% bonus airtime instantly. That's right, 50% bonus airtime to call across all networks. Simply buy and register a new Airtel SIM card. Top up 1,000 shillings and more, and 50% bonus airtime to call across all networks is yours. Join Airtel today. Get bonus today.
Airtel. John, Mike and I will go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also help friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special. So here's to all like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Mild Special, the rich, satisfying taste flavor sauce. Mild Special. You've earned it. Not for sale to persons under 18.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum. Tonight we're reviewing the week Museveni attacking Kadaga and Mbabazi, whom he once described as, well, too clean, white as shit. We're talking about that. We'll also talk about the parallel government within the NRM and what it means for the opposition, and the nomination of the election of Archbishop Ntagali to replace the former Archbishop of the Church of Uganda. Our guests tonight, Honorable Bernard Atiko, a Yivu County Member of Parliament, coming from the FDC party, Mr. Charles Rwomushana, former Head of Political Intelligence and Status, and Mr. Nicholas Opiyo, Legal Consultant at AKIJUL, also Social and Political Analyst. Nicholas, do you think these alternative power centers will become too much for Museveni? Red calls in his hand, so he decides to announce a departure?
Well, one, I don't think that these internal eruptions are in any way going to end President Museveni's hold on the power. I think that he's a more astute and more tactically adept person compared to the pretenders to the throne. I also think that the president still holds the upper hand because he has the instrument of force, the instrument of power, the army, the police, all behind him. I think that there's no institution in this country.
Well, what can they do as a democratic dispensation? Parliament could do a lot of things.
Deputy Professor told you during elections he cannot salute a civilian president, so you can.
There could be a coup if somebody tries to use this constitution to change power.
Well, you see, the point that I make is that it's not about a coup. Is that all these pretenders to the throne will only be pretenders for as long as President Museveni has full control and confidence of the coercive force of the state, i.e. the army, the police, people who are in charge of
what could happen? Let's assume he goes for elections in 2016 and he loses. Will there be a coup?
Well, the thing is, first, I don't think he will lose elections in this country because he's well, it's not that he's popular. I think that the manipulative forces of the state, in the electoral process, electoral commission, the lack of independence of the commission, the inadequate laws, makes it difficult for anybody to dethrone Museveni. And I think that's the reason he's not willing to reform electoral laws in time. Electoral laws are always reformed at the 11th hour. I do not think that President Museveni, even if he comes against Mbabazi, against Kadaga in elections, will, in the current state of affairs, lose elections. Unless there's a substantial change in the electoral system, we make it more transparent, more independent. Museveni will lose. Country. If it is independent, yes, we're going to have a chance of President Museveni having to face the embarrassment of losing, because we have seen in the past that elections that are small,
closely watched.
Yeah, closely watched. President Museveni has gone to Jinja, he's lost it. He's gone to Shaka, he has lost it. He went to Luwero, he lost it. So elections that are closely monitored, and there's some kind of freedom, President Museveni,
they count the votes one by one.
Of losing it.
Exactly.
So in a free and democratic society, free elections, independent electoral commission, close watching, national IDs, President Museveni may not necessarily.
Are they good for democracy, those national IDs?
Well, you see, the thing is, the only number in this country, and that's exactly why planning is a problem. We don't quite know how many people live in this country. The election numbers do not tally with the national population figures, don't tally with health figures used for population planning in health sector. So the national IDs, one and for all, will determine how many
people we don't need
there are.
If births are even
so you see, we don't have those.
Should Museveni win a successor now, do you think? So this is the whole thing.
That one, he has never done it, and he will never do it until he goes to his grave. But back to the point. What I want to say is this. First, what is developing now is very fundamental. And as I said, we must hold these developments with all their consequences, both negative or positive. One is that this political wing that is developing within NRM is putting a mark in the politics of this country from now onwards until after even 2016, because I don't see any moment when these people will come back to the line that Museveni wants them to toe under the current arrangement. And they've already made up their mind, I'm very sure, because according to
they'll get momentum.
Yeah, of course. They have a following. They have a following. According to what has been happening on the floor of parliament and outside, if you have been following these individuals, they have a following.
And they've been consistent with that.
Exactly. So it is a force that we must reckon with and must take seriously and begin analyzing and see where they are going to have their niche in the politics of this country. Secondly, we are going to experience two consequences of what has just happened. One case scenario is that Kadaga has got the mandate of the members of parliament who are elected from across the country.
Yes.
And we saw she got an overwhelming support.
The mandate of the caucus.
Just that. She doesn't. When it comes to parliament, parliament is parliament. When it comes to caucus, it is the caucus. It is the business of parties. You are not elected in caucus.
Go on.
So we are going to see how this politics is going to develop, because as we talk now, the members of parliament have got their own view in defense of Kadaga, and also in sympathizing with Kadaga. It is also the same group, when we come to now the caucus, which is also now feeling a bit sympathetic with Mbabazi. So in this case,
does Mbabazi have
caucus? Yeah, there are already two camps.
Other people like him in the caucus?
I don't know, but if we are to go back to my earlier explanation, power centers, the organs of governance, executive, legislature.
Not those ones. I'm talking about the alternative power centers within the NRM.
That's what I'm saying.
Mbabazi and Yoweri.
So that's what I'm saying. So when it comes to this, you're going now to see. You're going to see Kadaga galvanizing his members of parliament behind her. Exactly.
To do what?
Go on.
To counter what Charles around Ecuador, the dictatorial rule.
And then
we are going to stand up to defend Kadaga, because what we will be defending is the constitutional mandate of the powers that the constitution has given to Kadaga.
Right.
And on the other side, we are going to see Museveni trying to fight these same political forces.
But some people think he's already begun to do that. When he attacks the dancing strokes of his fingers.
No, it goes below. That is below political standards. Because if you are to practice political maturity, you don't go to those funny things. So really, this is yet to unfold, and I think there's more that is yet to come. And Parliament is resuming on Tuesday. You will see from the way Parliament will open
the second session.
Exactly, because already the parliamentary commissioners have issued their press statement in condemnation of what the president said about the speaker. So expect all of us to follow suit to defend the institution of Parliament as an arm of government, as an independent arm of government that is there by constitution to check the powers and excesses of executive.
Charles Rwomushana, you belong to the NRM.
You see, Honorable Kadaga is a member of SEC, the Central Executive Committee of the NRM.
Even though she no longer sits there now.
She does.
She doesn't sit in the caucus.
She sits in the SEC. Because you see, you can't say I'm not sitting in the caucus and you sit in the SEC. She's a part and a parcel of the policy of NRM as a party.
Alright, go.
Two, for your correction, Kadaga was never elected by parliament, was elected by the caucus. If the caucus hadn't chosen her, sure, we have a national parliament or caucus parliament. Now, these are facts, but it comes to, because your FDC is elected your own, in parliament, the NRM is elected their own. Even if you want to check, there was no article of parliament, she should know her base is NRM. And what the president is telling her that for it to survive, even in that house, those FDCs have not been used, for it to survive, NRM must be. And NRM is having problems because you fellows are not serious. You have left what you are supposed to do, you are doing what you are supposed to do, you are doing what you are not supposed to do, and the truth is not in you. So, these members of the parliamentary commission are simply writing on water. because the president has not interfered with the workings of parliament. He has not.
He's only attacked the dancing.
But it's not ridicule. When you read it yourself, he is saying the speaker of the Republic, the speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda had no business in the elections of Arusha. You don't give the delegation of MPs on what to go and interfere, even when you have not consulted, because you have now entered into a different domain, which is foreign affairs. And I think the president is but then it doesn't know what affairs and the rest of his ministers. You must know your bearings. But when you hear them calling, you know they want money. Those dombos, they want money for us. Now, as for that group we're talking about, NRM is like pioneer bus.
Yes, you exit.
And as soon as you enter, if they are seats, they sit, they are not there. There are those who sit, there are those who stand. Such coherence among those who are seated, there are others who are standing, there are others who are struggling to enter. And the slightest mistake, others enter and you are out. That's why the messages are out. They are out and they are in the window market eating food. Eating food and eating. So I don't see any serious crisis in NRM, no. It survived the crisis that was the crisis of Kaira. When Kaira was saying that the non-Baganda should go and fight from their home areas and was trying to divide NRA. That is the only crisis that they had. Ever since they survived that crisis, there is no more other crisis. So there is no reason for panic.
All right.
The only crisis that they are having is that...
You see, Edmond, the only problem I have with Charles' argument, of course I admire Charles, but I think that I admire Charles' other skills, not that argument. But you see, the argument that Charles is fronting is an argument of absolute leadership within a party. It's an argument that presupposes that
basically laid there.
That is what you have is the liberation movement.
Can I make the point that the NRM is a party, the FDC is a party, and if these are parties, there must be internal mechanisms for debate.
NRM is the liberation of the NRM began in 1980 and is a liberation movement.
When was the NRM?
Alright, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. That we're reviewing the You might not know what to call in, but you can send your text message. What you do is type the word Spectrum. Message, question or comment, send it to 7197. That is text message. Spectrum. Leave the space. Question, message or comment, send it to 7197. We'll read it on air before we leave this place.
You see, I wanted to comment. There are two positions that have not been contested.
Yes.
One is the chairman of the NRM, and the second one is the vice chairman, which is held by Haji Moses Chugong. Yeah, that shows you if all of this is a man, let them contest for that, for the vice. Because this is a liberation movement, and liberation movements have got their own rules.
How many Chugong was appointed?
No, who has contested in telling the number of votes he has had. But this is a liberation movement. Do you know what you have set up? You don't know. Some of these fellows were written well. I was written well too. Now, so if we are talking about changing these dynamics, it's going to be transition. It's the most, that's the reality. I'm not talking about the subjective situation on the ground. The objective situation on the ground. We are in a transition. We are in a transition from that liberation movement. It can mean the 100 years, but it's not 50. You have the kind of appearance rotating. I don't talk about America. They have Kadamba and the group are fighting for space and they are being told to hold on. You have the 8 millions there. But you see, yes, I'm inviting you to look at it from that situation. You know, the next part that you have that is a little bit breathing is the FDC. Other political parties were in advance for 20 years. And it has taken them time to recover from
the slumber.
Yeah, we're telling you the body. This was responsible for that. He's running behind the list. And the only thing that now can bring is FDC, which is another branch of NRM. As long as it falls from NRM to the branch, DP is now
to our listeners, you know, the point that you keep reminding us about Luero, about revolutions, I think is well past itself by date. The point is that these rebel people who took over government, long dusted that rebel tag and have become elected leaders. And if they have become elected leaders, they then must be held to the standard all the elected leaders. This consistent reference, it's a scare tactic. I mean, if it's not Luero, it is Obote, it is Amin.
Okay. But when they elect, the purpose of elections is to open for you to join. But I'm saying, the NRC, the original NRC was expanded. It was expanded through elections of lining up. So we have been having a process of how do you add to the original NRC. That is the same parliament you are having. You see, the speakership. The other purpose of election is that you live and you enter and you get out. Then there are two methods of getting out. One was the constitution and the only way that allowed political parties collect Jacob. The idea of parties was not have multipartism, no. It was to legally collect Jacob. And if you listen to the president very well, he doesn't take Jacob. He was very sober, he told you the purpose was to collect Jacob. And they went
to get rid of
the branch is still hanging well. The other purpose of the elections is that you come in. Other people, others coming to be involved in decision making, others coming to other evening, others don't in the parliament are coming in.
You need to his point. But you see, that's true. I don't agree to a certain extent. One is, there's been a process. This country has not remained where it was in 1986.
After the fundamental.
Exactly. Things have taken change. Change has been taking place in this country, both politically, socially, and economically. We agree to this, and we have reached a point where now people are now saying there's a constant that has been there since 1986. But it has changed. Where is it?
You can go under military leadership. So
the point that Charles is making is, of course, a very open admission that President Museveni's effort, and whatever it is a mere smoke screen. It's deceitful. It is a what we are on now is what began in.
I
think that's false, Charles. That's false. Be fair to our listeners, because I think that you cannot openly here accuse the president of deceiving Ugandans into believing that there is a multi-party system.
You can call anything you are calling. I'm telling you, people rose up against Mubarak. They thought they were making a point, and they are now stuck.
They are not stuck.
If you have got confusion, I'm writing you that if you have got
you have got
if you have confusion from within, and you are having confusion of those who left, then you have got that confusion across the border. Because Uganda must survive.
But the truth is,
and as long as Uganda will not sober up, what are people getting out of this coherence and starting to
what I want to assure the listeners is this. The truth is, changes have been taking place.
Yes.
And we are reaching a critical moment when this change is about to affect one of the constant factors in the politics of this country.
Yes.
You talked of NRC, you talked the CA. From CA we came to the recent referenda, and the referenda delivered what we call now multi-party politics, away from movement system.
Yes.
According to the Rwomushana, it can be Jacob.
Yes.
But the truth is, these people have remained within the enclave of the legal mandate, the legal regime of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda.
Right.
Which the president uses for sure and year in, year out.
Doesn't Kenya
Come on,
how can you have a new constitution? You can have another one.
So, this is where we have reached.
Yes.
These people who have Kubet Jaco, these ones who have left, are organizing themselves.
Right.
To destabilize Uganda.
And also from within, of course, what is happening is an organization. They are trying to rearrange themselves.
Right.
So, that's why they are doing the rapid. Because the last rearrangement started when this the left. Now they formed APSA from PAFA, they formed the FDC. Now, the Sechko group or class
another
is also starting.
Okay.
We may not know where to end.
All right.
So,
move forward.
these are things which I told Charles, you know, the president.
Today, Today, the Church of Uganda got a new leader in the names of Stanley Ntangali, replacing Henry Luke Orombi, who chose to retire 1 year before his term expired. Ntangali is a Mchiga, immigrant from Tubunyoro. He was a Mchiga who went to Bunyoro. They sometimes call him that name. He has been the Bishop of Masindi Diocese. He takes over at a time when the church is facing many challenges and when the church is at quiet war with the political class. He has served as provincial secretary of the Church of Uganda, and then after that he was ordained bishop. Charles, what kind of leadership are we going to see from Ntangali?
Don't forget about this group. This group called the House of Bishops is material, but in Biansi. They are not in spiritual business.
Yes.
And I challenged them because at the time I had the opportunity to discuss with the Bishop Zach Nirinje over the handling of the crisis of Kanungu involving the election of Bishop Bagaba. Because they were worried about the coming of the new breed in the church, more especially over the management of the assets of the church. If you asked Archbishop Ruko Rombi to account about this building they are putting up
across the road, church house,
the church house, and there are a lot of things going on in the church. You look at this university, UCU is now turning out to be the most expensive university in Uganda, and even these poor reverends who are preaching the word of God, who are converting to Jesus Christ in the villages, their children can't come there.
They can't afford it.
They can't. And the kind of university can allow you to start on credit. And you pay, but you see they're a little bit more serious. These things are material, and you need to go and investigate that the way they handle that business. How is that related to? I'm telling you, they are alarm. They are alarm. Look at them like any other NGO electing their leader. They need to be they need to reflect on themselves and pray. That's my word to them. Go back to they need to pray and go back to the principles of our Lord Jesus. Which means love one another, the way they have loved you, love your neighbor, and love your enemy. Which they want to do. They are not in politics. Have you seen the smoke? Have you seen the smoke?
Edmond, I think you made a mistake. We should have started with this topic because I see our chances. Charles is taking us. But all the same, first I want to congratulate the Anglican Church. I think first and foremost, the outgoing Archbishop laid the ground by announcing his early retirement, and they have taken the due process of filling the gap, and within this year we expect a change of guard of honor within the church structure. So we must congratulate them, and today is just the first day, so we can begin casting judgment.
The Bishop of North Kigezi attacked walk to work.
Bishop
there's no problem in Namugongo.
Come on,
representing God. When he's saying walk to work is okay, third time and Museveni should retire very quickly. And he's saying, you are evil. Now, who do we take it before God?
We have our potential to be sinners, and also space to repent and become spiritually clean people. So what I want to say is we congratulate the Anglican Church for this election, and all we can hope for is the betterment. These allegations that are being leveled against the church and the bishops, I think it's now an opportunity for the Stanley to correct some of these misunderstandings about the Anglican Church and see how to bring the House of Bishops to order.
Edmond, I think it is just good manners. It's just good manners to congratulate the bishop upon his election, but also congratulate Bishop Orombi and his assistant, Bishop Zach Niringe, for leading by example and showing a good example that leaders don't have to cling on to power. Despite their popularity within the church, they have chosen to retire early, and I think we've got to say kudos to them for that and wish them well in retirement, but also wish the new bishop well in his new office. But I think the election of Archbishop Stanley comes at a very critical time when the church is facing serious critical issues.
Like what?
The church is hugely divided from its mother church in the West about the issues of morality. It's not just homosexuality; it's across the board. The question of morality, and I think that division has even gotten deeper. I think the Church of Uganda has detached itself from the churches in the U.S., but also I think increasingly becoming divorced from the Church of England. So I think that Bishop Stanley comes at a time. He's a conservative. I think he's going to have to deal with some of these issues head on and ensure that the Christians come back together in the main fold. Secondly, they come at a time when the leadership of Bishop Orombe has been blamed for being too quiet on critical issues. You never had Orombe speaking about governance issues. You never had Orombe speaking about the things the church is going through. He was a diplomat. He was a quiet fellow. He never fought like Rome did. He was, if you like, a little bit more docile. You know what he did was just speak to kids, speak to women. He never attacked the critical issues.
Have you ever seen a leopard hunting white?
The critical issues. This to Bishop Zach.
The
third point that the church is becoming critical is the governance question within our country. We've come at a time when the church has taken a central role in advocating for peace, peaceful transition, democracy, rule of law. Bishop Stanley must stand up to the demands of the people and demand for rule of law and governance. The Church of Uganda has relinquished this role to Bishop Luanga of the Catholic Church. Bishop Luanga has been the sole sounding voice in matters of governance. I think the Church of Uganda must take this
Archbishop wants canon and again exactly the members as canon. Then he comes to Zumba and again Mrs. Jim also has canon.
Member of Parliament from the Charles Rwomushana is actually an honorable. He was a member of Parliament. Head of Parliamentary State House. Legal consultant. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your Edmond. God is great.